So I had got cut off, so my apologies. I was saying, though, undergoing these psychic attacks and my ability to feel uh, ex- low vibrations, high vibrations. But the point of this video is to emphasize, right, that low vibrations are everywhere. And they're essential and vital to keeping the Earth's polarity. But when you have people that are um, literally like hoarding demons and harboring and holding on to and feeding off of pain, um, that shit will make the hairs on my arm stand up. You know what I mean? Like, and when we take so many hits, there are times where we begin to believe or can begin to believe that, we become weakened by these forces because of the inability, the exhaustion, if you will, to keep shining when you have so much dark around you. And you might begin to think that there's something wrong with you. Like, and all the bundles of sage in the world, you can't burn sage in Walmart. So for those of us out there that are coming into the knowing and the alignment and the realization of, right, as being these divine beings of light, it takes developing a defense mechanism. And it takes also mastering the mind and being able to look beyond, right, the taboos of the witchy world and, oh yeah, someone's doing spell work on you and all of those things that not only feed a myth, a negative energy in which cannot exist in your reality. And if anything, it's working ever so hard just to exist, right? Just to derail you. And that's for a whole nother day. But what I was saying about Saint Germain's The Alchemist is gossip. What I learned from this book, and slander and hate and all of that, he said, that is the worst form of black magic. And anyone who partakes in that, and not only is just as vile as the person that speaks with the filthy tongue in the first place, but we all know that the person with the filthy tongue is going to suffer consequences, whether it be in this dimension, this realm, this lifetime, this month, this year, this day, this hour, right now. We'll never know, and it's not up to us. And once we detach from that and we can see it from a higher perspective, that, okay, what makes me so delicious? What makes me such a scrumptious? What do I have? What powers do I possess? What's the truth of me? What is my truth that makes me so desirable that even the enemy, even dark forces, things like entities and forces that have been regurgitated for literal centuries. And if anything, have been allowed to exist in this earth, to awaken the Lord's chosen ones to their light, to their gifts, rather than see it as, oh, this is the work of the enemy, or give power to literal bastards. I mean, I don't know any way to say it. Literal broke bums that choose, that if anything, hate the divine source knowingly. Abominations to the divine, if anything. You can see it that way, or you can say, the divine, this is the path. I've encountered all of these karmics, all of these people, all of this gossip. Not saying that, it's a part of life. You should just take it and embrace it. No, protect yourself by all means. Keep that sage, meditate. You build up walls. You build up your faith. You believe. Because these negative forces, this gossip, these things, right, that are sent to derail you, they're intangible. Most of the time you can't touch them. But when you can feel them, you have to develop a faith that you can feel. And then believe, which involves believing, not in the demonic forces, but the invisible demonic forces, the powers of the invisible low vibrations, but acknowledging and looking directly up, looking within yourself, believing with faith in the invisible forces of the divine. You got to build force fields. See? Ops don't even want me to talk about it. Don't even want me to get that high up. And maybe it's because, I'm needing to pull things into a center, a focal point. Pull it down to gravity. We get hyphy out here, But you have to, faith is believing in the invisible. And when you can meditate and build your violet shield and develop your white light of protection and ask for the force field and energy shield and calm and peace and grounding that you need in that moment to see beyond, to get a bird's eye view, to disconnect the cords, right? And pull yourself out of the way of distraction. I have had dreams before. I'll share. I had a dream. My guides will send me signs with animals. So rats, dogs, to name a few that have come to me as symbols of low vibrational energies that I would encounter, that would I would encounter along my path. And there was one dream in particular where I was with my mom and we were, I don't know, somewhere standing side by side, shoulder by shoulder. And there was this big ass, gray, filthy ass sewer rat looking gray rat. Looked like out of The Lady and the Tramp. You know, the rat that comes for their baby. It looked like that. And it was coming directly at us, like foaming at the mouth, filthy, like, yeah. And we just moved out of the way. And it scurried straight down, right? Past us, right out our way. And in hindsight, that I got that dream a few years ago before I was even activated. You know, I've been hearing about the 5D and things like that. And I guess that's where I'm at now. You know, I'm still trying to really get a grip, y'all. You know, my soul is extremely ancient. So within this, you know, yeah, you have epiphanies and you pull from moments in the past, like, oh, that's what the premonitions that you had, you know, are now coming into fruition. And looking back at those moments, that was letting me know, like, you know, not only that's a low vibrational frequency that's coming your way, but just move out the way. It's not yours, right? Something that is coming down your path, you know, intensely, and would love to be able to, you know, I don't know, touch you, but invincible to that. But when I woke up, it was still it's a filthy rat. You know, who's gonna wake up and be like, don't like that? You know, that's the energy. Your dreams will let you know how something is going to make you feel. And if I were to have run to some, you know, fortune teller or some psychic or something, she would have told me, you know, he was in grave danger and that there was a horrible, you know, something that would have made me question my divine path. Rather than to understand my power in that situation and to then further interpret, okay, spirit, ask the divine, what is it that I need to do spiritually to prepare for this moment, so that the feelings in which took place and that accumulated when I woke from my slumber, right? I won't deal with that shit. You know, how will I be able to avoid? I know that none of whoever is gossiping and whoever is sending such filthy energy and wherever it has come from is no business of mine. But how do I make sure that I keep my ears clean, my aura clean, and that my foundation will stay solidified, you know? You know, because sometimes you have to make quick moves, right? Vampires in these movies are quick. These energy vampires, these things, these low vibrational frequencies that seem to just love the lights, you know? Think of us as big ass bug zappers. And you got all these mosquitoes, and you know, sometimes depending on what country you're in, these insects can get very big and they suck blood and they're disgusting and they come at the light, and you know, they always get zapped. They'll always get zapped and they'll die. But you know how the bug zapper has to be plugged in, it has to have an energy source, and it takes energy, and it makes a noise every single time one of its victims, you know, falls and dies and burns off to the ground energetically, right? Because we send love and light to all of those individuals. We can't do anything but that because we are the light. It depletes us if we try to fight when we don't have to. We exert so much energy, it's effortless. But how do we make sure we don't become depleted? That's all I'm trying to say. Make sure that you feed the divine source, you feed yourself, you take care of yourself. When you know that, and you can feel that your spirit is in your mental health and your nerves and the way you're speaking to people and the way that certain encounters are affecting you, and when you can feel fuck shit in your environment, it is natural to want to say, okay, you know what, fuck this. I got to figure this out. I'm putting an end to this. I'm cursing these people out. I'm reacting. It's natural to react, to want to fight back, to resist, to want to develop a defense mechanism. And sometimes you have to correct people. But this is about the vamps. The vamps can never keep up with you. It is not your responsibility to keep up with the vamps, if anything. But it is your responsibility to make sure that you're not just walking around with your neck out. It is vital that when you can feel yourself getting ready to succumb to irritation, lose your temper, lose patience, snap on these motherfuckers with the divine powers that you have and are completely entitled to, you got to know that that's what they need. They need to see you get into your avatar state. Not the blue people avatar with the ponytails, but the Avatar Last Airbender, the Nickelodeon series. Where y'all at? Okay? It's a metaphor, but if you've watched that series, he was always almost fearful to get triggered into the avatar state because he knew once he did that, the wrath in which he was able to inflict, it was almost uncontrollable. The damage that could be done behind the force of the power of his emotions, his anger. If he allowed the wrong and small person, if anything, the person that was sent to challenge him in that moment, to trigger it, he could ruin a whole town of innocent people and shit, you know? It's not about, always necessarily, something bad could happen to you, or there'll be more consequences, or it's just sometimes the divine needs you to know, like, okay, your power, you got to learn how to use it. Open your third eye and see what this vamp is feeding off of specifically. Not the why, not the all of this, but what is this vamp feeding off of? What do I have that this vamp doesn't have? And then what am I not going to allow it to take? As spiritual beings, our minds are the most powerful things that we have. So most of the things and the traumas and the distractions and the things sent to destroy us are things that will scar us physically, emotionally, and mentally. And if we lose our ability to connect and align our consciousness it'll take a very long time to get back to our mission, to find our North Star. Some of us may not ever make it back home. We'll get caught within the lies, the web of illusion, the sea of illusion and disturbances, because we didn't allow ourselves to pull out and meditate. We got, how would you call it, caught within the current, because our instructions were only to float. But we were so busy frantically swimming in things when there was driftwood, when we needed to be floating and paying attention. We missed the opportunities to see, there's driftwood. When I don't resist, I can become buoyant. I'm in the ocean, this is salt water. If I allow myself to be feather light, since I can recognize these forces on a bigger level, I too can recognize God, because that is the only thing that's keeping me afloat. There's something that wants me to make it that's beyond myself. And that thing is me recognizing that I am worth more, that the things that I am feeling are not in alignment with the person that I know I am to be. And now that I realize this, I have to have a spiritual intervention with my earthly self, as I call it, and my higher self. Now that I've recognized that I'm in a trap, and I say, I want to get out of this, that's the moment that you align with higher self. That's the moment that you recognize spirit. And once you recognize spirit, you see all the driftwood, you begin to, there's a fucking branch. All of a sudden, I have a branch. Thank you, spirit. Now there's a man with a raft. And somehow I seemingly forgot about how scary the rapids were, and how weak my body was, and how at certain points when I was floating down this river, I didn't think I was going to make it. And at certain times when I was floating, I even forgot where I was. It can get like that sometimes, right? Depending on where you are in this spiritual journey, and depending on whether you have even learned to identify what an energy vampire is, whether you even know, the true core of a low vibrational frequency, whether or not you have encountered forces of evil, and demons, and not just like the ones that you hear people say, I'm fighting my demons, but like, no, like you are literally I pray, you gotta pray for people. not because they can necessarily be saved, but because that's what we're told to do, because these forces are so diabolical, you know what I mean? And once you encounter that, and once you say, okay, there are divisions, there are two separate teams, once you actually, understand why we have the good, it's when you truly understand, bad is a whole frequency. So I'm going to leave it there. Love and light to all who have watched this video. I thank you to the angels, ancestors, and spirits of divine white light and protection whom have been with us all since the beginning of this life and all previous lives and past carnations. May we all be strengthened in the faith, in the blood, whatever else everybody believes in. And have no fear of speaking your truth. And know that you're not alone. Chosen one. Good night.